So today on this episode, I wanted to talk some strategies to optimize your social media. Um, I wanted to be very specific with the strategies that I picked today so that you weren't just gathering information similar to how you usually do, but I wanted this to be more of a tactical episode that you could take these strategies right after you finish listening and use them on your social media. So, what I first wanted to talk about was kind of creating the aesthetics around each of your social media pages or platforms that you're using to, I guess, create a vibe for that target audience. And, mind you, if you aren't aware of what a vibe might mean, it's just the feel for your page or the feel for whatever platform you're using. So, for example, if you're on Instagram, right, and you go to your profile, and because I'll use Instagram for an example because it's my preferred platform, although the podcast works best for YouTube because you can turn off the phone and still kind of listen to the podcast as if it was a podcast. But I'm gonna use Instagram for just an example. Let's say you go to your Instagram profile and you get there and you can see the highlights, you can see the posts and all that. Now, mind you, this is not your Instagram profile is not a digital portfolio to speak where everything has to look so pretty on the feed because it doesn't. I'm not talking about your feed here. And I won't be talking about your feed on any of the platforms you use. But what I'm talking about is what does your page do when you land on it? Like, what does it encourage a potential follower to want to do on a page? So when you get to my page, Strong Persona Media on Instagram, you'll see my name. It'll tell you what I do. It'll tell you content, strategy, and creation. So you already know what I'm here for. A lot of profiles that I see from a lot of aspiring content creators or even entrepreneurs, they don't let you know what it is that they do from the beginning. Like, I mean, if you go to your page and you make music, but I don't know that you make music, one, that means you must not be posting at all. Like, there's no way that you could be making music and I don't know it. But let's say maybe the specific type of music that might help people out, it kind of getting to know you. Like, if I was an artist and you landed on my Instagram page, it might say something like making music for the soul. Not not saying I could do that at all, but if you do, it kind of creates this energy that you already are aware of what you getting into if you potentially follow me. And so for me, I want you to know that I'm primarily about uh creating content, creating strategy, and kind of encouraging you to do it for yourself. And it even gets down to what my tagline is to help you do what you want to do. So when you land on my page, and this is for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all of them. When you get to the profile page, the aesthetics that I'm creating for it is that you see that you know what you're getting into when you get to my page. You know what I'm here for, and even down to the highlights. I have different highlights for things that I want you to go to. So if you want to check out what I've been doing on TikTok, you'll see that. You'll see the TikTok category. You'll see the Twitter category. That's not for everybody what you do with your highlights because that's not what I do on every page that I manage. But that's getting into the specifics of Instagram. And I want to do less of that and get more into when you first land on your page, I need for a lot of you. And if you're already doing it, great. This is beautiful. But when you go to your page, it needs to tell you exactly what you're doing, exactly what I'm here for, exactly what I'm gonna be getting into by following you. It needs to state that. You understand? So I know I might have been a little bit aggressive at the end of that last one, but it's because when people land on your page, it's really the the point where you kind of rope them in. And if that part is messed up, I feel like sometimes they won't even get to the rest of what you have to talk about. So a big part of optimizing your social media is optimizing that landing page, even if it's your website, if it's your Facebook, if it's any of the other platforms, your YouTube, Instagram. When someone gets to your page, it needs to say what you do, what your like your home base is, the place where they can get all of your other content. So for a lot of people, this is Linktree. I see a lot of people put a link tree in their bio. I'm a fan of it because it kind of puts everything together. But for my profile, I have my website so that when you go there, that acts as my quote unquote, link tree. So you can find all of my social media platforms there, my services that I offer, what I'm about is very clear. So part one of really hammering down optimization for your social media accounts is creating that ideal landing page that when they get to your page, they know what you do, they know where and how to find you, and they know, just from the feed. Not saying it has to be beautiful, not saying it has to be the prettiest thing ever, because sometimes people can get so caught up with the aesthetics of their feed that they don't produce enough content. So don't worry about that, but they need to know what you do, how to get in touch with you, what services you offer, all kind of packaged into that page. And how you actually do that is up to you. Me is I let you know that I do content creation and strategy, and I let you know that I help you do what you want to do for the talented and the entrepreneurial minded people. The next thing I want to talk about is how to interact with people. Now, I have made another post before or another episode before where I was talking about how to engage with your audience, how to engage with your target audience. But something that you can walk away with today is if you have any comments, comment back to people on your post. You'll be surprised how many times somebody will go, I'm not growing on social media and I don't know why. And I go look at their posts, maybe even they last 3 posts, and it'll have somebody like, oh, this was a great post, or how do you do this, or I really love your music, or I really like what you did on stage. I like that dance, or anything like that. And they won't be responding back to the comments. And it's like, don't you know, if you comment back to people, for most of these platforms, it triggers the algorithm to go, people like this post. Let me promote it to more people. But people don't, a lot of people just do not comment back to people who comment to them. Like, even if you only have like 17 followers, those are 17 people who like you enough, like what you put out enough to want to see more on a consistent basis. That's what a follow is. A follow means I want to see more of your content more often. Don't let them like be signed up to the notifications too. It's like that's the perfect mix there. Someone who likes what you put out there, wants to see more of it, and they want to see enough of it that they turned on the notifications to be alerted when you do it. And then you can't even give them the common courtesy of responding back to a comment. It's like, why are you even an influencer anyway? Like, why are you an entrepreneur anyway? Aren't you trying to reach these people and create um, connections with them? So that's one thing that you could do if you're not doing that already, is comment back to people. Leave when you make a post, leave a question that on the post that kind of says, hey, this is what did you think of the post? What did you think of this episode? Do you have any insight on what I was talking about? What did you think of the song? What did you think of this dance? What did you think of your athlete? What did you think of this game? What did you think of this fight? Like, what tips could you give me to be better? Like anything that makes the audience want to engage with what you put out there. I'm telling you, it makes a world of difference, because it's one thing to put content out there, right? And then wait for people to say something about it. Kind of set them up to what to say about it. Like, I know all the time I ask a question, because I know asking a question to people makes them want to give their insight on it. Like, well, I kind of thought this, or I kind of thought that, instead of just leaving it dry and hoping that people have a conversation about it. Most of the time, they're not. People, for the most part, need to be led to water. Not all people, not talking down to any type of person. It's just most people do kind of need that initial spark to start the conversation. Like, they're your potential clients, they're your potential followers. Like, carry the burden of the conversation for them. Then create a statement at the end of a post that makes people want to engage with it. So comment back to people, drop some that they drop a question or a comment at the end of a post that makes people want to talk to you about it. And then don't just comment back to them, but have some genuine conversation with them. Once in a while, commenting on story posts from people who you follow helps create connections and optimize that social media for you. It's like, if you follow 10 people and those 10 people are making story posts, and all you doing is looking at this story post and then going back to what you was doing, it's like, why would they comment on your story post? Like, you haven't even created the atmosphere to have conversation with you. It's like, I followed you, I look at your stuff, but I never say anything to you. Like, if they was your friend and they did that, you would kind of be like, why do they just keep looking at my stuff and not saying anything to me? You got to think of these followers, you got to think of these potential clients as like friends and people that you know. Like, start conversations with them. You would never walk in a room and say, here goes my music, and then sit there and not ask, so what you guys think? That's what you would say. So I kind of get animated when I talk about this, because for me, it seems like a common thing, but I know it's not that common. Is sometimes people are really awkward in conversation, and they can be awkward on social media too. So I think that in terms of your audience, aside from uh kind of making that ideal landing page, those are some strategies that you could use to kind of boost up that engagement, because all of this is optimizing your social media. But just for today, at least, fixing that landing page on every single one of your profiles is great. Changing the way that you interact with your audience, from your followers to who you follow in, creates a tremendous difference. Asking questions, leaving comments, commenting back to people who comment to you, commenting on story posts, sending a DM here and there saying, "Hey, how you doing, bro?" Or, "Hey, how you doing, sis?" Like, anything like that. It helps create an atmosphere for conversation that ultimately triggers the algorithm to say, people like conversing with this person. Let's boost the profile up. For most of the algorithms, for a lot of these platforms, that's what happens, because at the end of the day, you're creating a connection with people and they're giving you feedback. And last but not least, I want to kind of talk about creating, let's stick on the thought of creating an atmosphere for growth. You want to create an atmosphere for your target audience, and you can start doing this today, from the colors that you make on your page to maybe the posts that you reshare. on your page. And I'm saying page just because I use Instagram so much, but it could be your YouTube channel, it could be your podcast. Creating that atmosphere for growth helps a lot. It really does. So it helps a lot when you to create that atmosphere for growth for your page by setting a tone for your target audience. I know I kind of repeated myself there, but it's because I want to make it clear what I'm saying about what I'm talking about in this last segment. God. So what I'm saying here is that you have a target audience, whether it's 20 to 30-year olds, or if it's 15 to 18, 18 to 21, and you have a message. And the reason that I kind of talked on that landing page thing at the beginning of the podcast is because it kind of brings it full circle when you are creating the atmosphere for your target audience, because if they know what they're there for, then you need to constantly feed them that type of product, if that makes any sense. So let's use Instagram again for an example. I guess I love it, but what I reshare on my story are followers or people that I follow that I think resonate with my audience. So, for instance, if there is another social media manager that I think connects with my target audience, I may repost or share in my story a post that they made that I feel is going to be helpful for the people that follow me as well. Because not only does that help my audience, it helps to feed them content that I know that they'll like, and I create a stronger relationship with the people that I follow that are in my niche. I may also make sure that what I'm posting is relevant and has continuity with what my target audience. Meaning, I'm not going to post about bananas if my target audience likes oranges. I know I use fruit references a lot, but I think it's because they're pretty straightforward, and you can follow them really easy. Creating that atmosphere for the target audience helps them by, one, they get to the landing page, they know what they're about, they start following you. Now you have changed the way that you interact with them, so you're creating an atmosphere for connection. And lastly, you're feeding them what they need to sustain, to keep them there, to make them want to bring other people there too. So even down to even the colors, like if you know that that they kind of like some poppy colors, like let's say you are in a fashion niche and you use a lot of bright yellows and reds and pinks, like things that make them go, I like it here, this is cool. Like when you go, when they have kids stuff, right, and they trying to target kids, they will have a lot of colorful stuff because they know that kids like that. They'll have toys on the page, or they'll have a lot of things, a lot of aesthetics that make kids go, I like it here. Like I want to follow this page. And so that's what you got to do to optimize your social media. You have to get into the mind of your target audience, of the people that you want to reach. So I guess to wrap it up, because I'm getting kind of long-winded here, but I wanted you to walk away with some tactics that you could really use. Like not that the same old is bad, that the consistent posting, that all of these things that you do over time for the long haul of your page isn't essential information. But I felt like I wanted to give you something that you could walk away with today and go, after this podcast, I'm gonna start doing this. And that's what I wanted you to do. So change up and optimize your landing page. Let the audience know what it is that you do, what it is that you offer, and how to find everything that you're putting out there. Secondly, change the way that you interact with your followers and the people that you follow, because commenting back to them, creating conversation with them, DMing them, commenting on their story posts, all create leaving questions at the end of your post or statements that make them want to give their insight is all helpful with not only building your engagement, but creating a genuine connection between your followers and who you're following. And and as a byproduct, it helps you. And last but not least, creating kind of the vibe or the energy for your page or whatever you like to call it, just the aesthetics that make them want to come back in, like feeding them the content they want, resharing from content creators that create content that resonates with your target audience, from the colors to that you have on your page, to just overall trying to create a energy that brings them in. So let me know what you think. I know that this episode was a little different than what I usually put out there, but I really wanted to talk to y'all and really give you something that you could use. So let me know what you think. Let me know if any of these tips were helpful. As usual, leave me some questions on the podcast and the reviews and the comments. And if you listening to it on Anchor, leave me a voice memo, because then I'll have a section that I'll play the voice memo so other people can hear your questions too, because it'll be helpful to me so I can create better content for you. And it's helpful to someone else that may have the same question that can get answered. So thank you for sitting back on a weekend that you didn't have to and learning a little bit about social media. Peace.